Hello and welcome back. I'm here today to do a bit of what I think Mad Witch calls waffling. Is that what they call just rambling in the UK? I think that's it. Anyway, I got the Jonasa Jaus Tarot. So this is the 8th edition, which it says inspired by Marseille, but some of the cards are a little RWS. But I just wanted to show this off and then chat about some arts and crafts that I've been doing this weekend, just for a bit of fun. So there's no real agenda. I've been looking at this deck for a long time, and it's hard to get because her editions, she doesn't reprint the same edition again. So she recolors them and then prints a new edition. And so I was on the mailing list, I guess, or I can't remember what she calls it, newsletter, something. Anyway, I got a notification when this was available for pre-order. And I can't remember which language this is in. Something in Spain, I think, but not Spanish. I'd have to look it up. Anyway, you can figure out most of them. I'll have to look up a few of these words and see what they mean. The minors are easy to figure out. And these ones are, like, that must be the Hermit. And this will be the Wheel of Fortune, I assume. Anyway, I've wanted to try one of her decks for ages, but the resale market is stupid expensive, so I'm not doing that. But it's really cool. Like, I'm trying to get into Marseille this year, so I'm using more pip decks like the Game Marseille, which is super fun. And there's a little reading club happening with, what's the book called? Tarot by Numbers, I think, on Instagram, that I'm part of, which is fun as well. So I'm getting more used to it. And I wanted to try her art and see. That'll be the Tower, I assume. This has to be the Star. Yeah, the Star. So, like, I don't know what that word means, but you can sort of work it out by the fact that there's a star and a moon and whatnot in the sun. It's a very plant-heavy deck. There are a lot of flowers, which I enjoy. So I haven't actually used it yet, but I put it in order. The majors were all out of order. Put it in order and flipped through it just for myself. And I'll do that again probably a couple more times just to get used to it. Used to the differences and things. And then, yeah, start playing with it. I enjoy her artwork. It's fascinating somehow. That's cute. I like that. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd ever get another one like this. It would depend probably on the color scheme. Now that I have one, I might be more picky about whether I get another one. But if I really love the color scheme, I might be tempted. Like, so here's the Knight. The Knights are easy. Yeah, so I just wanted to waffle a little bit about this. I love the purple. I need more purple in my life. It just makes me happy. So yeah, I won't go through the whole thing, because that sort of seems, I don't know, it seems a little bit mean to show this off now that you can't get it. But on the other hand, I'm enjoying it. So it is something that I'm having fun with. And it's a fun size too, this long, narrow size. The other thing I'll talk about for a bit is I've been getting back into collage. So there are a couple of collage projects that I've been meaning to work on for several months and then just didn't, because procrastination and life. But I've got some boxes I want to recover, like tarot. So this is the Witch Sisters tarot box, and these giant boxes, I don't like these giant boxes. So if I can find, usually I keep things in boxes, but if they're this big, if I can find a bag that I like, I will use that instead. And then I've got a few of these boxes I wanted to keep kicking around for other things. I wanted to use them for other things. But I thought it would be fun just to do a bit of mucking about. So I've got some collaged bits. I haven't completely covered everything up because I like her artwork a lot. Like, I love this Witch Sisters tarot deck. It's beautiful. So I didn't want to completely cover it up, so it's peeking through in some places. And all of these odds and ends that I've put on here have some sort of personal connection to me, to the ideas in this tarot deck. So yeah, I've got a few more, like I've got, for some reason, like I like sturdy boxes like this, because, I don't know, I'm a dork and I collect things. But I'm not going to store things, well, I don't want to store things in just an iPhone box, because that's boring. But if I recover that, I could use it for something. Same with this. I've got this. I'll probably keep this image uncovered because it's pretty. Because it's Arthurian, so of course it's pretty. This is the Arthurian Tarot, which may or may not be coming out in English at some point. I'm not sure. Which I've got to study, but like that I could do something with at some point. And then, oops, and there goes a box onto the floor. Good. And then I found this little, so I have a cedar chest in my grandma's with a bunch of her stuff that I've gone through, more or less, organized. But my grandpa used to keep his pay stubs from working on the railroad in this little tobacco tin. This is an old Edgeworth sliced pipe tobacco. And this company went out of business in '68. So it's not a new tin. It feels old, like everything about it feels old. So I recovered it to the back and the bottom. I kept this because it says, "Save this tin. It has many handy uses," which it does, I think. So I will find a handy use for it now that I've recovered it. I do have a gel medium that I'll use to cover over it. I just was waiting for the glue to thoroughly dry before I do that, which I'll do with the other boxes as well. And then, so I talked about this in November and hadn't done anything with it. Not November, October, September, I don't know, the fall sometime. I talked about doing ancestor cards, and I can't remember who had that idea on YouTube, but if I find the video, I'll link it down below. So I wanted to do my own. So I've got, actually, I'll show you these first. Oops. A bunch of papers that I pulled out of the cedar chest. Newspapers, railroad, my dad was, or not my dad, my grandpa was really involved in the train union development in Canada. Oh, here's a draft constitution of when the NDP in Canada became a federal party in '61. This was their draft constitution. My grandpa went to that. He campaigned a lot for them. This is from a magazine, the Canadian National Magazine. This is from an apron, something or other. So I've taken a lot of these papers, and I had a lot of these just cardboard. I think these are from Green and Black's chocolate, I think. Or they used to have this in the back. I don't think they do now. Anyway, so I have a bunch of bits of cardboard this size, that were just, I've been sitting around literally for years in my apartment, meaning for me to collage something onto them, and I never knew what yet. So I've taken a lot of these papers and I wanted everything to have a background because it's less intimidating than working from just a white backdrop. So I've got, I cut out bits of magazines and advertisements. There's the train thing. I think that's actually in the US. This was in a magazine that my grandpa read. He paid a lot of attention to politics, like a lot of attention. He was very into it. If he'd been able to, this is a kitchen appliance advertisement in a magazine. This is from a recipe of my grandma's. The CN Railway agreement between them and the very new union in the 50s, with monthly guaranteed wages. This is a letter from the NDP hoping to get more women in the House of Commons in, again, the 50s. I think that was in the 50s, maybe the 60s, but I think the 50s. There was a piece of this guy's artwork in a magazine that for some reason was saved in my grandpa's stuff. This is the new party constitution. and then just bits from newspapers. So my grandpa didn't go to school until he actually went to school at the same time as my dad. He got his high school equivalency early, but he didn't go back to school until his youngest was in university, and then he got a university degree in English. But he would have, like, given the opportunity earlier in life, he would have gone into politics, I think, but he had to go to work and pay to support his family, so that's what he did. This is a throwback to when Tommy Douglas was the Premier of Saskatchewan. This is a CCF. This is before the NDP. I think this newspaper was from 52. So I put backs to all of these cards, and then I'll put things over this and finish them. And I've got other odds and ends for that. These are some other bits that I've started to play with. Like, this is a bit of my grandpa's what's it called, tax return. Back when, ooh, they stuck together. I had them all pressed under a book so they'd get a bit flat. That's my grandma's signature before her marriage. That was a letter addressed to my grandpa from the railroad back before, either before he got married or early days in the marriage when they lived in Milford. And this was from one of my, excuse me, one of my grandma's school books. She had to draw and label things. I've got more of these from when she was a girl. This is the union dues, I think. And this is one of her recipes. I don't know if this is her writing. It might be her mom's writing. I do have this recipe typed up and another version in her writing. But yeah, so that's the backgrounds for all of these cards. And then I actually don't know how many that is. And then, oh, here's some of the newspaper I was using. Lipton tea. I cut out a fair few bits, but it's from, I think it was 52. And then I'll use bits that I pulled out of the cedar chest. Like, my grandma had this, she used a bobby pin to collect it all. But she had a bunch of, like, a map that she did in school, and a bunch of flowers and parts of a cow. More maps. I don't know, they had to learn a map in New Zealand, apparently. Some sort of dragon ship. Oh, she was learning perspective. So these are all paper. Old paper, like from the 50s, feels different. It has more texture or something. I don't know. More train union. This was Tommy Douglas's party in Saskatchewan before the NDP existed in 1960. And then I've just got a bunch of odds and ends. Like, this was a tag from a washing machine that they bought for $150. Oh, there's another tax return. This is from my great-grandmother's funeral. Ruth? Yeah, she was my great-grandmother. The flowers for her funeral. Tariff sheet, some sort of tariff sheet for the Canadian National Railroad that has some writing on the back for some reason. Ruby Gemmell was my grandma. She wrote this, and apparently in the front of a book. She also wrote her name on the backs of a lot of pages, just, like you do in junior high when you're practicing your handwriting. Well, I guess people don't do handwriting anymore, but this, I think, was some of my grandpa's schoolwork. So I've got a bunch of odds and ends that I will, let's say Saskatchewan Coalition for Social Justice. Oh, this is from the 90s. That's a bit newer. And apartheid. And see, yeah, my grandpa got a lot of this sort of thing. This is an old piece of paper. Statements of trainman Jacob Bergen in connection with. So somebody hit a car, and then he had to make a union statement, and this is one of the copies from the typewriter. Commonwealth Federation member. This was his CN card, employee card in 54. Another accident report. This was a handwritten one. Some of these papers are really cool. Like, they just have cool textures. I don't know. I don't know if that'll come across in a collage, but it's interesting to feel how different they are. More receipts for things. Mental Health Association. My grandpa was also the, I guess you could say, legal guardian of 2 of his brothers who had mental health problems. Apparently my alarm cut me off, or stopped the recording, but basically I've got a bunch of papers I'll use. I've got some newer ones as well, like this is for my brother and sister-in-law's wedding. They had 2 weddings, the Chinese one and the Canadian, more sort of like Western one. And then I do have some pictures as well that I'll add. So these are, oops, that's my grandma with her cat. They had a lot of neighborhood cats that she fed right up until she had to move out of her home. So I think it's my grandpa, great-grandpa. He looks like my grandpa, but he's my great-grandpa. And this is a great-great-grandpa. And these are my grandparents' wedding pictures, well, the proofs. I've got their other wedding pictures too, somewhere. But yeah, these are the proofs, so I'll probably use these in some way or another. And I've got other old pictures too. I've got a tintype photo on my wall, which is the oldest picture I think I have. I have a great-great-grandfather. I'll find some newer things, but I'll probably use the newer things more sporadically, because I love the textures of these old papers. They're fun to use. And then every time I see art that I like Jonasa Jaus's, I want to make things, even though I'm not a professional artist or anything. It just makes me want to play a little bit. So yeah, that's that, me playing with old papers is how my weekend is going. Anyway, I think that's all I've got for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.